No, I'm not your mental health counselor, but sometimes people just need to be heard. They just need to be listened to. And that's one thing that I can offer. And welcome to Down There, a podcast dedicated to pelvic health and wellness for men and women. Hello again, and welcome to the next episode of the podcast, Down There. I'm Laura McKaig, your host. I'm going to do something a little bit different today, and you may hear in my voice that I'm a little scratchy, a little hoarse. Well, we had a major change in weather last week, and my sinuses and my throat decided to protest that. And so I've been trying to get my voice back for the last week, but I'm feeling a lot better. And yeah, we're just going to continue, even though I sound a little bit croaky. That is okay, because I want to share with you something actually a little and a lot vulnerable, very personal, but also a tradition that I've had since I opened my practice. Actually, even before I opened my practice, when I was just starting out in pelvic floor therapy. And it goes really well with the last episode we did. And I had a great conversation with physical therapist, Dr. James Connolly. And we talked about the psychology of gratitude. And I feel that this fits perfectly into that theme as a segue into this next episode. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to actually read it, because this originally started, 12 years ago. 12 years ago as an email when I was just getting started with pelvic floor therapy. And I was having a lot of challenges, and I decided to flip the script and really change my mindset on how these challenges will affect me, how I'm going to respond to them. And so what I want to do is basically read excerpts from each of these emails that I've had since 2019, 2018, something like that. And it's a tradition of mine. I actually do it every year right before Thanksgiving. And at the time of this recording, we're really going into a season where we focus more on gratitude. So this series has been called Thankful for the Pain. So go ahead, grab a cup of coffee, some tea, maybe if it's cool outside, a warm blanket, snuggle up and have a listen. And I hope that you can be encouraged through this, and maybe you can see circumstances a little bit differently. This sometimes isn't an easy thing to write every year for me, because I really have to think, wow, it's been kind of a crappy year. What am I really thankful for? So I guess I'm thankful for that opportunity to really look at things and frame them in a way that's helpful and that encourages both myself and others. So here we go. Great things rarely start easily or within your comfort zone. That is certainly the case with pelvic connection, physical therapy, and wellness. What is happening with this practice and with me now may not have happened at all without the pain. I'm thankful for the pain that started it all. I'm grateful for the physical pain I had 12 years ago. That nagging pain in my left hip and knees that didn't get better on its own. The pain that pushed me to invest in my own health and join a gym, which restarted my career in physical therapy. Now, if you haven't heard that story, go back to one of my first podcast episodes where I talk about my story and how I got back into my profession after 14 years being out of it. I'm grateful for the financial pain I had at that time, without which I would have not been looking for a career change. Tell you a little bit more about that. We had moved back from living overseas, and I did not have my physical therapy license to fall back on. And so I took a job at a middle school, helping teach English language to the kids whose parents had come over from other countries. I absolutely loved it, and I discovered that I really like working with that age group with middle school kids. It was a very rewarding job, but the pay, well, let's just say it was not very good. And I was really struggling. My husband was struggling. We just almost didn't really have enough to pay the bills. And so I really had to think, what else can I do? I love this job, but it's just not working for us financially. So that was another reason I started looking and kind of getting restless and being willing to get out of my own comfort zone. In addition to that, I now can truly say that I'm grateful for the pain of disappointment. When plans that I had for my career didn't work out like I had hoped. Without that pain, though, I would have never started my own physical therapy practice. I would have never have met some of the wonderful and trusted colleagues and partners that I now know who are such a blessing to me. It's taken a while, but I can now say that I'm thankful for the pain of rejection. And boy, I've had a lot of rejection along the way. You see, when I first started this venture, people said it wouldn't last. I really did not have a lot of people who were truly in my court and supporting me. They said I was too old. I was in my early 50s. I was too slow. I couldn't keep up. There was too much competition. Oh, can I add, I didn't really know how to use computers really well. And that was really, really going to hurt me. By the way, I still don't know how to use computers very well, but I'm still here. I had no business sense. I'd never taken a business class. I didn't know how to run a business. I wasn't good enough. That one hurt. That one really hurt. I didn't have the right clinical skills. Now I can say to those naysayers, tell that to the hundreds of people I've been able to help through this specialty and through this practice. They might disagree with those objections and those criticisms. And the naysayers only motivated me more to keep going and keep getting better. And I'll still say, I'm still here. I'm not planning on going anywhere. One of my former business coaches once said, everything that happens to me, good or bad, God uses as an opportunity to bless someone else. So I still trust in that truth. The pain of rejection has given me the tenacity and the resiliency to face and overcome greater challenges as my business grows. It's given me more strength and passion to advocate for those who also feel rejected and dismissed by their medical providers, by their friends, by their spouses, even themselves. It's hard to find hope in a situation after such rejection. I can empathize with that much better now. It motivates me even more to offer that hope to others. And I'm thankful that God can use me, even when I mess up, to bless others. And I'm so grateful for the many people that God has placed and continues to place in my life to help me get to where I am now and to help keep me moving forward. I can't do this on my own. I can guarantee that. Some of those I've known for years, others just for a short season. Tell you, it was no accident that their knowledge, skills, and support was exactly what I needed, just at the right time. And if you're one of those people and you're listening right now, I just want to tell you, thank you. Thank you so much. We'll go back to the years that I'm sure many of us remember, 2020 and 2021. Those years were filled with so much pain. I'm sure you can relate. For me, the best way I can describe it is the pain of loss. During the COVID shutdown, I fought so hard to keep my practice afloat, to keep my patients safe, to hold space for them in a time of incredible stress and anxiety. And it took a very heavy toll on me as well. However, the pain of loss was also a very strange but strong motivator. Losing a friend to prostate cancer in 2021 spurred me on to start writing my book for prostate cancer survivors. I had had it in my head for 2 years and had not started, but this was unfortunately what I needed to get going and to say, I need to write that darn book now. It took about 2 years to write, but I finally finished it and it's published. Piss Off, literally, controlling your incontinence after prostate surgery is now available on Amazon. And my hope is that the pain I felt then will now help many more guys struggling with incontinence after their prostate surgeries. I'm also thankful for the pain my husband felt 2 summers ago when we were on vacation. We had a trip to enjoy the Twin Cities Jazz Festival in St. Paul, Minnesota, and we didn't even get to go. That vacation ended up with a surprising case of my husband getting acute pancreatitis, an emergency gallbladder surgery, and a 4-day hospital stay. That was not what we planned for our getaway. But the pain saved his life, I'm sure. And a funny aside, those 4 days, I had not planned to bring much to do along with me. All I had was my computer. And so during those days, I actually had the time to finish formatting and editing my book so that it was ready for publishing. So it's funny how sometimes that pain can open up other opportunities. Last year was quite challenging, beginning in January with pain from injuries to not just one, but both of my shoulders. I injured my left shoulder in January and my right shoulder in April, doing very mundane things. You usually ask people when they hurt themselves, well, what did you do? Well, I honestly can't say there was a major thing that happened to cause that pain, just things I did every day. We still don't know why. I have a few theories, but it was very debilitating. I had to take multiple weeks off that year because I couldn't do the physical things that my job required and to treat patients. And that was a big wake-up call for me. I was able to go to one of the retreats that our business coaching group had down in Florida. And I remember standing on the beach, on the shore, and just being in tears, thinking of the reality that could be facing me very shortly. You know, I had to ask these questions of myself. What if I needed surgery and I would be out for 8 to 12 weeks? Would my business survive? What if I wasn't physically able to do my work any longer and I was not able to treat patients one-on-one? Those were some really sobering questions, but I had to ask myself that. It's like, if something like that happened, would I make it? Would this business make it? And the reality was maybe not. What do I do now? Yeah, those questions are very hard to face, even harder to answer honestly. But you see, that pain also forced me to think outside the box. Could I help people by offering solutions besides just seeing me in the office in person? How could I use my creativity and resourcefulness to accomplish this? And the next growth phase of Pelvic Connection was born. I'm excited to share with you the first of several online education, or call it DIY, solutions for common pelvic floor problems. They'll be available to anyone. Actually, they are available to anyone, anywhere, at a lower price point than many in-person physical therapy visits. They can also be a helpful learning companion as you go through physical therapy. It's not the same as in-person therapy, but it does offer better access. It offers something to get started with, and that's what a lot of people are looking for, but they're not finding if they just find a couple random YouTube videos and start with those. It really is kind of more of a pocket guide for them. So the 2 courses that I have so far are the 5-day core pelvic floor challenge, which is for everyone, really. Anyone who's got core weakness. Maybe they've had surgery, a hysterectomy, prolapse surgery, other pelvic or abdominal surgery. Maybe they're recovering from cancer surgery. Maybe they are a new mom and they're trying to figure out how to juggle a baby, a toddler, and a C-section scar at the same time. Or just, how do I get back to exercise? I don't have the time for it anymore. Maybe it's a woman who is in menopause and feeling that her pelvic floor is getting weaker, but just doesn't know how to get started. So I was really excited to create those and find very simple everyday activities that you can turn into a mini core pelvic floor workout. So the link to that program is below in the comments. If you'd like to check it out, go ahead and do so. My next one that I just recently finished is a companion to the book Piss Off, and it's called the Piss Off Recovery System. Again, that is specifically for men who are having incontinence after prostate surgery. And I wanted to give them a guide beyond the book, a video guide of taking them through some of the basic elements that I teach pretty much everyone who's dealing with that problem, so that they can at least get a starting point in their own recovery far sooner than they normally would be given the opportunity. Again, check that out below. There is a link to that course should you be interested in that for yourself or for somebody that you know. So 2024 ended better than it started. I actually was able to recover from both my shoulder injuries, but it took almost a year, even with knowing what I needed to do, and even with help from physical therapy. It was a very long, slow recovery, but I'm thankful to say that I'm doing much better. I'm back to work, and I am just so grateful to be able to put on my backpack, put my coat on, reach in an overhead shelf, and not have that horrible pain that I did back last year. Let's move on to this year. Even though this year the physical pain has eased, there has been just a whole new layer of pain. And this one was difficult to write because I'm still there. And I'm not doing well with it right now. We don't all have to be perfectly dealing with stuff all the time. Sometimes we are muddling through. I'm kind of right there. Lots of emotional pain, not just for me, but I think for just our nation right now. And all I'll say is it's in such conflict. There's such division. There's so much anger, and there's so much uncertainty. And that is causing a tremendous amount of emotional pain, mental pain, as well as physical pain. High stress levels, you will feel physical manifestations of that. And a lot of people are suffering with that. So many people are just hurting from the changes and the uncertainty that is happening in our nation. Now, myself, I can't alleviate that pain. I know that. But here's one thing I can do. I can hold space for others who are in pain. Is that something you could do? Could you hold space for someone who is in pain? Give them a safe place to process their pain, to heal, and to recover. That's kind of one of my superpowers. I love being able to offer that to people. No, I'm not going to promise to fix that. No, I'm not your mental health counselor, but sometimes people just need to be heard. They just need to be listened to. And that's one thing that I can offer. And I am very thankful to be able to do that. But on the other hand, I need that support too. It's so easy for me personally to self-isolate. I am an introvert, and when I'm really stressed, I tend to go and lean into that. That's not always the best solution. So what I need to do is actively seek out support and community of others. Whether that may be going to an event, going outside for a walk, prayer support, which I highly value, or even just getting coffee with a friend. Also making new friends. You know, the older I get, the harder that is. But being thankful that I have the opportunity to do that and take that challenge of meeting new people and making some new friends, because that can be a very beautiful thing, no matter what your age. Facing the pain is important, allowing it to make me stronger and more resilient, not ignoring it, not using other things to dull the pain. And I'm not talking what you might think like drugs, alcohol, whatever. I mean things like busyness, maybe checking out at the end of the day, and just watching TV when you don't really need to, but that just allows your mind to check out for a while. Social media, just kind of mindlessly scrolling. Those are some things I find myself going to when I just want to either ignore or dull the pain that don't really help the situation. And so I am trying to be more proactive in that and help others be more proactive as well. So perhaps we can face the pain together and help each other become stronger. It may sound crazy, but I am finding a good side to the pain and the disappointments. I also know that there are listeners out there who may be facing great pain today. You might be one of them. I know many people who have lost parents or loved ones this year. And especially during the holidays, losing a loved one can be very, very difficult. My thoughts and prayers are with you today. And I really mean that. That's not just a phrase that I say. Praying that we can all find a way to embrace gratitude and even joy in the midst of pain. That is possible. So I'll ask in closing, how about you? What difficult or painful things are you now thankful for, or could you now see some good in? I would love to hear about it. Go ahead, if you want, share it in the comments below. You might be surprised how sharing your pain can be such a ministry and such a blessing to someone else who may be facing the same thing or something similar. And your comments may be the one thing to help keep them going that day. So you never know. Share some of those vulnerable moments. It was a little vulnerable doing this for you, but I wanted to keep the tradition. Rather than an email, I thought, why not do it as a podcast? As you go about your week, maybe this is a weekend, think about some of that. How are you thankful for the pain? How can you pass that forward to someone else? And use your pain to be a blessing to someone else, and in turn, bless yourself as well. I hope you have a great day. I enjoyed sharing this with you, and we'll see you in the next episode. Thank you for listening to the show. Drop in a comment and let us know how you liked this last episode. Do you have questions, or do you want to connect with us further? Perhaps you're ready to take that next step. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, The Pelvic Connection with Laura McKaig PT. Check us out on Facebook and Instagram at Laura McKaig PT, or visit our website at www.pelvicconnection.com to discover our online programs and resources, or how to work with us in person. Here's to your pelvic health.